I look back at, what you dream about, and what your aspirations to be are, and how you got through this process. I don't know if you guys ever do that, and it's just fun. It's just fun. I think back, like, even when you're a kid, right? A little child, right? Always they got kids in the room, right? And their little minds are always running, and they think about, all their aspirations and goals in life and what they dream about and they think about. And I think about my own, right? So most of you probably don't know this, but my brother knows this. And this will probably show you why I always cry at everything, right? I'm a crier, but that's all right. I'm a crier and I don't wipe the tears, so I'm cool with that. But when I was growing up, I wanted to be a veterinarian, right? I wanted to be a vet. I loved animals, dogs, all sorts of creatures. They would give me the comfort that I needed growing up that I couldn't get necessarily from people. And I wanted to give back to them as they had always given to me, right? Special moments. I even remember it was so bad that I went to a SeaWorld camp. My parents sent me to the SeaWorld camp where they would teach us how they train the dolphins and stuff. And I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. We would have conversations all the time about what it took to be a vet, how much schooling you had to take, right? What was required in order to do this. We'd go on road trips and I'd ask questions, and Taylor's probably in the back going, would you just shut up? I never shut up as a kid, by the way. My mouth was always running. My son's probably the exact same way. I love it. But what I know now that I didn't know then, like all good parents, is that she was teaching me how to dream, right? She was building this framework that allowed me to kind of define and imagine what an extraordinary life would look like, right? I think we can all relate to the conversation or the question of what do you want to be when you grow up, right? We ask our kids that now. We used to ask ourselves that same question when we were younger. Maybe we should be asking that question now still, right? I think about my own journey of the two different things. I wanted to be the best that I possibly could be, right? I always saw myself being this amazing veterinarian. But then I also wanted to do something that would give back. I felt this deep sense of purpose, right? This genuine caring to give back that once gave to me. It wasn't about making a living. It wasn't about making money. I was a kid. The only thing I knew about money was that it bought you houses and hotels on a Monopoly game, right? Right? So think about what you wanted to be when you were little. What do you want to be when you grow up? Take a second, write it down. This will be fun. Write it down. There may be different times in your life where you want to be different things, but I feel like everybody's got that one thing. When you were little, what did you want to be? Now close your eyes real quick. Imagine being that little kid. What you thought about. What you cared about. Remember your dreams about whatever that was. How you saw yourself. Why it was important to you. Number one, our first response to this question is to list a profession, right? We rattle back this answer that really has nothing to do with the question at all, but yet we accept it because our parents basically gave us the same answer before us. The question wasn't, what do you want to do for a living? The question is, what do you want to be? Right? How about I want to be kind? How about I want to be curious? I want to be loved. I want to be happy. I want to be successful. Right? How about I want to be generous? It's a beautiful question in its truest form, but our answers are completely skewed, right? It's this distorted truth that like somehow what we do for a living has anything to do with who we are. right? But this is just like some cultural norm that's been basically perpetuated incorrectly, right? And we ask our kids the exact same thing that our parents asked us, that their parents asked us. But really what we're not asking is what profession is. What we're asking them is what they want their definite purpose to be. What they want their mission in life to be. What type of work? How about a sport? What gifts that they could give to the world and be happy? What type of service to someone or something above and beyond ourselves would give us fulfillment, right? It's a beautiful question, but it's at a very interesting time of life. Right? We never dream of being an average astronaut or a lazy firefighter. Who dreamed of being a D-League basketball player? Too young. You ever think you're a D-League basketball player? No. Right. My favorite one is like a semi-effective school teacher. Right? We saw ourselves being the best. Right? When you were envisioning that in your head, did you see yourself being anything but awesome? We aim for the stars, excelling in our craft, right? Not because we could make a living or because we wanted more money, or the best is because we could have more fame, right? Because at that point in time, your little heart, the soul of who you were, your little mind believed in mission possible. You believed in having an extraordinary life. Better, you were wired to define and have an extraordinary life, right? We were all that way. I think about like my own story of being a vet. And sometimes I forget this, you know. This has been a good journey for me for the last 15 years. But sometimes I forget that I had this aspiration to be this veterinarian, right? And I wanted to give back to what was given to me. This deep sense of purpose, this feeling that I could do something that would make a big difference. And then I also saw myself being the best. And I think it's ironic because I think Tony Robbins articulates what an extraordinary life is better than anybody else. He talks about having to have two components, right? Essentially two master skills that you must have in your life to achieve this. Number one, the science of achievement. An extraordinary life is made up of personal accomplishments, okay? People who get things done. They do things. They move past what they thought was possible. They inspire other people through their actions. They understand that there's a certain set of rules, a certain set of principles, a certain set of laws, that it doesn't matter what your background, your sex, your color, your affluence level, where you come from, what you care about. If you violate these laws, you will experience failure. Right? But if you follow them, you will experience success. They're black and white. They're laws. Okay? They work on every country, every continent, every background. It's black and white. Some of those laws would be, how about the law of attraction? The law of practice. The law of how about that one? Right? How about the law of compound interest? It's another good one. Right? They're black and white. Two is the art of fulfillment. Notice it doesn't say the science of fulfillment, it says the art of fulfillment. Because what juices me may not juice you, right? What makes me happy may not be exactly what makes you happy. Has anybody ever heard the saying that the beauty is in the eye of the beholder? Right? You and I can look at a piece of artwork with different perspective, different vantage points. One of us could see complete magical beauty. The other person could see disaster. Right? What's really cool about this one is that this skill set, this important component of extraordinary life is completely subjective to your core values, what you believe, and what's important to you. So the first one I would submit to you the first one is easy. Some of you saying, Brett, what are you talking about? The first one is easy. What are you talking about? I feel like I'm like just right in the beginning of that, right? Well, let's just take a long-term perspective here, okay? We spent 2 days with some ridiculous content. I mean, probably one of my favorite parts of the summit, period. Just dimes, right? We've talked a lot about our sales training, philosophy, how to do the hows, how to think. We've talked a lot about the science of achievement, right? But if you speak to anybody that's successful, anyone, doesn't matter if it's a sport, doesn't matter if it's work, it could be business, it could be finance, they'll tell you the same thing. The science of achievement is the easy part. Now, it may take you half a lifetime. That doesn't mean it's easy in a sense of like your capacity of what you know now, but it may take you a while to get it. But I promise you, from the two, the science of achievement is the easy part. If you just follow everything in your book right now, you'll be successful. I guarantee it. It's a little harder said than done, right? We've got a lot of protocols that have to be activated in order to do that. But the reality is it's way simpler, because they will always tell you that these people that are mentors, these people that you want to chase, these people that have been where you want to go, they will always tell you that the fulfillment part is the harder part. Right? Tony Robbins says it so elegantly when he says, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. What good is it to achieve in life and work so hard for what you want only to be empty? Right? See, it's one thing to be on the chase. It's one thing to get knocked down. It's one thing to live in a state of hope, right? I'm hoping for a better tomorrow, because I haven't achieved it yet. If I can just get there, I'll have everything that I want. See, it's one thing to live in that capacity. It's a whole different beast to work your whole life or work this whole year to accomplish exactly what you set out to do, but only to be completely unfulfilled right afterwards. Right after you buy the watch. Right? Right after you hit the top producer reward. Right after you get the impact award. Right? We celebrate achievers all over the world, right? In this country, we idolize them. They're our heroes, and for good reason, right? Makes sense. That's what we talk about, right? We want to be those people. For good reason. They inspire us for hope. They give us purpose. They dare us to move past what we thought was possible, right? But progress without fulfillment is empty. It's worthless. Right? People say, do what you love. Who's got that advice? Just do what you love in life. Do what you love. Just find something that you love to do. Do that. That'll give you fulfillment. Right? By the way, I love the golf bag. Love the golf bag. Right? Just swag. You know, the first thing I looked at that, all I wanted to do is I wanted to go play golf.
Fulfillment.
That's right. Because I love playing golf right now, right? But I promise you, if I played golf every day, it wouldn't give me a sense of fulfillment. Right? If I have fun every day, that isn't going to give me some deep satisfaction. Right? So if it's not doing what we love every day that gives us fulfillment, then what is it? That deep sense of completeness, right? You guys know what I'm talking about? We talked about it last year. Happiness, right? Not happiness from an emotion, but happiness from a sense of completeness. Where you'd be willing and okay with checking out of this world because of the way that you lived. Because of the legacy that you've left. Not that any of us are going to be okay with that. We're never going to be ready, probably, right? That's probably a little audacious. But when that time comes, because we all have an expiration date approaching, none of us are getting out of this alive, you feel a sense of closure because of the way that you lived. So what makes the difference between those that are walking among us that are fulfilled, and what makes the difference between those who are not? What makes the difference between those that are willing to leave it all because they feel that they left it on the field and those that are not? Right? Around 480 BC, a group of men stood in the face of tyranny. An army so vast that it shook the ground when it walked, a kingdom so powerful that it conquered anyone and anything in its path. These men were faced with two choices: either stand together and fight and surely die, or let their city be conquered. The Spartan people were known for their fierce fighting ability. Okay? They were known for their love of their country. They were known for protecting their way of life. Right? They felt this deep sense of purpose, this deep sense of mission. So when faced with an impossible decision, the choice was easy. Purpose, meaning, mission. These are the values of a life lived for fulfillment. And better, a mission for something or someone beyond ourselves. See, the very act of these men going to battle was giving them a sense of fulfillment. They were born to do this. They were bred to do this. These men were the best of the best. To not go into battle would leave them incomplete. It's always been about a mission for something beyond and more than ourselves, right? To live a life meant for a higher purpose. See, a mission for ourselves will get us started, right? And you might say, Brett, I don't understand. Like, you get all fuzzy and you get all emotional and you go deep, and sometimes that's just a lot for me, right? I don't have a mission outside of myself, man. I want to be successful for me. Like, I haven't done it for me yet. Well, number one, it's okay, right? I've been there. We all start there, okay? And if you're there right now, first of all, it is totally okay. It's totally okay. And as a matter of fact, I would applaud you. I would applaud you and say good for you, because how can you go where you want to go if you don't at least acknowledge where you are? If you can't be honest with yourself, then you have no chance. So if you're there, that is totally okay. All right? So own it, as Matt said. Own it. But just know this, that one day, I promise you, you will meet an enemy that's tougher than you are. Right? And when that day comes, you'll be hesitant to make a hard choice. You'll struggle to get in the fight. Does that make sense? With the Spartan government quarreling over this decision, wasting precious time as the Persian army approached, these 300 brave men charged with an impossible mission to stop one of the largest armies ever assembled, over 100,000 men strong. They geared up for battle. They knew that they faced certain death, but were unwilling to stand aside while this vicious king threatened their way of life. See, the Spartans were one of the baddest warriors that had ever walked the planet, right? They were known for their fierce battle reputation. They were known for their tactics, and they were just bad. They were just bad dudes, right? But it's their love for their country that propelled them. And this reputation spread throughout the land, right? They were known for this. And there was a saying in Sparta that has become famous now. A lot of you have probably heard this saying, right? So as the men would gear up for battle, they're think about it. You guys, gearing up for battle, you grew up with these people, right? And your wife, and the person that you loved. And as you were leaving for battle, they would call out to the men, their sons, their husbands, their fathers. They would call out to the men, and they would say something that reminded them of who they were, of who they stood for, of what Sparta stood for, their heartbeat of the entire culture, what made them strong and who they were as people. come back with your shield, or come back on it.
Spartan!
Yes, my lady.
Come back with your shield. Or on it.
Yes, my lady.
Has anybody heard of the phalanx? So the phalanx was a military formation used by the ancient Greeks extremely effectively. They would essentially lock shields in unison, forming very much similar to this, a rectangle that would surround a group of soldiers. Your shield, locked in unison, would protect the person to your left and the person to your right. See, the shield was revered as the most important weapon in Spartan culture, not the spear. It was the tool that protected the brother that was to the left and the brother to the right. One issue it was the link in the chain, right? One mistake, one distraction, one miss could jeopardize the entire team. Jeopardize the whole system. One would rather die than lose their shield in battle. It was considered the weapon of honor. So shields ready, they marched. As they moved towards Thermopylae, the only passageway into Greece from the northeast coast, they shared fellowship. They sang. They talked about life. They laughed. Sharing their last peaceful moments together before entering what would end up being the greatest battle for human history, for freedom in human history. As the Persian army approached the Spartans' position, King Xerxes thought that they would surely flee by the mere sight of his army. But they didn't. He even waited 4 more days as he sent a scout in just to see what was going to happen, because there was no doubt that they were going to get slaughtered. He thought that they would surely give up. But they didn't. And on the 4th day, the Spartans defended that position, and they defeated numerous attacks from the Persians. Wave after wave after wave of Persians, they defeated them. Attack after attack, they held the line. Shields locked in unison. What was said to be an impossible mission by many was becoming possible for a few. So you guys know the rest of the story, right? So as they defeated the Persians, they held this line, they couldn't get through. And as they high-fived, and I'm sure there was some chest bumps, right? Maybe those weren't prevalent back then, but I sure as hell would have given some chest bumps. They were betrayed. And the Persians found the secret pass behind them, and they were closing in. Now there were other Greeks that were with them, and a lot of those Greeks fled back to their cities, back to safety. They had plenty of time. Right, moving an army of this size, you know when it's coming, right? There are not many sneak attacks with an army of 100,000 men. So every soldier had the opportunity to leave. But the idea and the thought of one of the Spartans' brothers being there without them. To leave their brother on the battlefield was completely unthinkable. All 300 men stood their ground and fought for what they believed in to their very last breath. So they lost that battle, and they fought and they died. But their bravery inspired all of Greece to unite. And they ended up going on and defeating the Persians, essentially saving democracy from being wiped off the planet. Now, I don't know about you guys, but they probably lost that battle, as you would say, but they didn't lose the mission. I'd say that was mission accomplished. See, the shield, from a literal sense, allowed these great men to achieve incredible results. They had learned the science of achievement, practiced it their whole life as small boys, professional soldiers, right? They were born to do this. But it was the metaphorical of the meaning of the shield that gave these guys the true grit. That's what gave them the true strength. That's what got them in the fight, is their mission, but I don't think that that's what kept them there. In the middle of this turmoil, right? Blood, guts, people dying right next to you, complete hell. They weren't thinking about their definite purpose in life, all the stuff we've talked about today. They weren't thinking about their mission. They weren't thinking about back home. They weren't thinking about protecting what mattered to them most. Inches from death, beat up, bruised, cut, bleeding out, watching just complete death. I believe they were only thinking one thing. If I let down my shield, my brother, the person that I bleed with, the person that I know, the person that I've grown up with, the person that I go to battle with every day, if I let down my shield now, they will surely die. See, it's our willingness to put ourselves in harm's way that makes us effective. It's our oneness and together that makes us strong. Our culture is our greatest weapon. Our culture is our shield. We think about all the things we've talked about today. Carrier partners, efficiencies, processes, sales trainings, philosophies. Everything that we've talked about today to put us in a position to win. But I come back to that Me Inc. culture. I come back to that Me Inc. See, Me Inc. is born out of an environment where people feel safe, they feel trust, they feel love. It's a culture that says, if I fall, I know my teammates will catch me. It's an environment that says, I can make mistakes because my brother's got me. My sister's got me. The shield is what allowed these great men to live out their mission. Their ideology of this is what they were born to do was fulfilling their destiny. But that wasn't their strength when they were there. It was their love for the person to the left and their person to the right that really made them effective. Their unwillingness to give up, their unwillingness to surrender because of what it meant to the person next to them. And here's what I would tell you this. When shit hits the fan in your life, and it will, when you have an enemy approaching, 100,000 men strong, and you are about to go under siege, and life is bearing down on you and you can't take it, when you're crying so much that your ears fill, when you have so much gut and pain in your life that you just can't go on, it's just too much, I hope you think one thing. If I let down my shield, my brother, My person that I partied with last night on that bus. The person that I did that scavenger hunt with. That person that I go to war with every single day. That's my biggest fan. During my time of struggle, if I let my shield down, they will surely die. I don't know what you got going on, man. I don't know what you got going on. All of us have unique circumstances. And what's cool is we come in this room and there's four walls and we're kind of shed away from real life for a sec. And we take a second to kind of maybe take priority, take inventory of our lives. But if you're not under siege now, I promise you will be. The person to your left and the person to your right, I promise they will be. And when it gets here, they won't wear it on their sleeve. It won't be public. They will not tell you that they're under siege. They won't tell you that they've got so much shit in their life. They won't tell you that their shield's about to break. They won't tell you all the things that when they walk back in their house, they have to deal with. They won't tell you that they look forward to work because work is their safety point, and as soon as they leave, they've got all this stuff that's just weighing on them. See, it's our culture, guys, that makes us strong. It's the love you have for the person on the left. It's the hugs you gave everybody last night. It's the time you spent together. It's the conversations you had. It's the feels. The mission is what gets us in the fight, but that's not what keeps us there. Everybody's got stuff. You totally underestimate what it's like to just be somebody's friend. You can't quantify what it is to tell somebody that you love them. You don't know what impact you have on somebody just being there for them in their darkest moments. And guess what? You don't know when it's their darkest moment. See, guys, we can get the mission right. We can get the mission right. Right? We can get the achievement right. Hell, we can even get each other right. But at the end of the day, our culture is what allows us to stay in the fight. Our culture is what allows us to keep moving forward. Our culture is what allows us to win.
There's a lot on your skin, painted gold on your feet. If you're gonna lean into me, make sure you feel the heat. You can take what you want, but when you take it from me, I'll make sure that you fall upon the floor, down to your knees. I'm not betting on a miracle to give me peace. I'm not asking for a miracle, just you and me. Yeah, I wanna know if you're gonna be there, 'cause it's hard to believe or see, yeah. Why do I get the feeling we're getting close? We'll never be there, 'cause it's hard to believe or see, yeah. Is it more than a feeling? I wanna know. I wanna know. You're gonna be there when it's
See, work is easy. Work is easy. Life is hard. And at some point, you'll want to let your shield down. Because we all do. And if it was up to you, and if it was just for you, you'll fucking let your shield down. But if you do what you did last night, if you do what you're going to do today, if you love the person to the next to you, I promise they'll love you back. If you care deeply for them, they will care deeply for you. And when that day comes, you'll say, I fucking can't let my shield down. Because you'll be letting down the person that you love and that you care about. And that is not acceptable. A mission gets us in the fight, but it's not what keeps us there. It's the fucking person next to you. That you know what they love, you know their dreams, you know their fears. They felt genuine enough and vulnerable enough to share with you what they care about and what they're dealing with. So when you make a fucking pot of coffee, make some for everybody. If you see somebody not where they want to be and they're not exactly where they need to be, then go fucking help them. Don't ask them if they need help. Don't ask them if they need help. Go help them. And if they won't take your help because they have ego, figure out a way to get the response that you need and help them. Schedule times for drinks after work. Hang out with people on weekends. Don't be work friends. That's for everybody outside this room. Everybody outside this room wants to separate their life from their work. Fuck that. We don't do that in here. The only thing we have is our culture. That's it. And it's so enough. It's way more than enough. Protect this culture, guys. Because one day there'll be a lot more people in here. And I can't police everything. You can. But here's my promise to you. If you protect this culture with your life, I promise you, it will accelerate yours. Thank you.